Okay, so Brother Sam, welcome to our Fireside Chat. You are a regular member of EMM, and this afternoon we want to get to know you better. You know, anything that you'd like to share with the men's family would be very appreciative of that. So let me start
Thank
by
you.
asking, tell us about yourself. We know you as Brother Sammy, but I don't know if that is the full name. What is the full name? Where do you hail from?
My name is Samson Wawero. I hail from Kenya. I came here at a young age. I was 14 years old. I came I came through Pathfinders. My parents grew up as Seventh-day Adventists, so I grew up in the church. So when the Pathfinders got a chance to come to America through the World Camporee, I was one of the chosen few Pathfinders from Kenya to come here. And, I thank God every single day for that moment because if it wasn't for Pathfinders, I don't know where I would be in the church.
Wow.
And now, fast forward to 20 years later, I'm an elder at Lower Nations Church in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Praise the Lord. Wow. What a journey, right? God sees a little pathfinder and then he has bigger plans for you. And he's going to grow you into something bigger than, we may say just a pathfinder. So very interesting background. So tell us a little bit more about your growing up. Were you always Adventist? Were you always a pathfinder in the church? How did that come about?
I grew up in the church as far as I can remember, but I do remember that my mom was not an Adventist when I was born. From the stories I've heard from my mom and my grandmother, but they got together with my dad when my dad was working. My dad was a carpenter and he was working on my grandmother's house. And then, when he was working there, I find it's like the way the Jacob story, when he was working there, that's when he met my mom. She used to be my grandmother's youngest daughter. And because he was an SDA Adventist, that's how when I was born, I started going to church with my parents. But before I was born, my mother was not an Adventist until they got married.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a powerful to know. It's amazing how God can work those situations. Here's a man working on your grandmother's place, and God has a way of just putting this chess puzzle together. So tell us more about how the Lord has led you to this point in your life. You are now an elder in the church. I think life has all been blessings for you, right?
Yes. The Lord has led me through so many trials and tribulations. When I was in this country, when I came, just when I was a teenager, I was 17 years old, I think, when my parents had to leave and go back home because my dad, worked here. My dad came to this country before I did, and then he called me over. And when he was tired, he said, you know what? I'm an old man now. I need to go back home. So he went back when I was 17 years old. And up to that point, I thank my church very much because they were, when he left them in charge to look after me, especially, I don't know whether you know Elder Cornelius. I call him Uncle CP. I look up to him because I spent many nights with his family because I'm friends. Me and his, second born, we are the same age. So we were friends and we used to stay together. I used to stay at their house all the time. And when my parents left, I did not feel like I was alone in this world because I knew the church and the family, they were there to take care of me. Anything I needed, I could always go back to, Elder Cornelius and his wife and the church members, and they would help me out. And I got baptized at a young age of 15. And I thank the Lord every single day. And I have now moved. I've been at the same church since I came to this country. It's basically the only church I know. So they are like family to me. I don't see them as church members. I see them more as brothers and sisters. So
that is powerful. That is powerful. You just spoke about the value of family, not just your biological family, but also the extended family, right?
yes.
Talking about Elder City. That's an interesting abbreviation, Elder Tawanago, right? Elder
Yes.
City. I'm gonna start calling him Elder City going forward. And so he embraced you as part of the family, and you embraced them as family as well.
Yes.
That's really powerful. So I think, if I remember, you told me that you work in healthcare. Tell us more about what you do. What kind of job do you do, on a day-to-day basis?
In healthcare, when I started at a young age, I was, I think, 18 when I started working in healthcare. I was a CNA, certified nursing assistant. I worked for 10 years as a CNA, and then I said, you know what? I need to advance myself. So I worked at the time. I didn't have any money, but I had a job that was giving me some money, but the money was not enough to go to school and to take care of myself. So what I did is I saved some money, and I had a leap of faith. I said, you know what? Let me go and take a leap of faith and take the entrance exam to go to do a nursing program. They call them T's. So when I went, I was unprepared, because when I went to apply, they asked me, can you take it today? We have a spot right now. Can you take it today? And I said, but I haven't studied. Then they were like, well, this test, even if you study, is some things that you have learned in high school and grade school, is the things that you know. Most of them are like knowledge things. So I said, okay, then I'll try. So I took the test and waited 3 weeks until I got the letter in the mail. I was even afraid to open it because I knew it was a rejection. I knew maybe I didn't do too well because I did not finish the math section, and I did not feel like I had passed. And the letter said, congratulations, you have passed. Now please send us money for to reserve your seat. So I sent them money and I reserved my seat. But then they said, you also have to do you also have to give us a deposit of $2,500. I did not know where that money was coming from, but I knew I had 3,000 in my savings. So I took that money and took them for deposit, not knowing what I'm gonna do with just $500 and I need to pay rent. So I went back to the church and I told them, well, I'm broke, according to the financial aid, they said I'm not eligible because as it is right now, I'm making too much money to be eligible. But my bank is telling me a different story. My bank is telling me you have no money. But financial aid is saying you're making too much. So I asked the members of the church, and they helped me contribute $3,000. So the money that I have paid to take to go to school came back to me because members showed it fit to help me out, because I was going to school. I wasn't gonna go do something else with that money. I was going to go to school. Fast forward, I became a nurse in 2015. And every day what I do is, I travel from hospital to hospital. I'm a traveling nurse. So during COVID, I was very busy. So I travel from hospital to hospital, nursing home to nursing home, just taking assignments of helping people who are suffering from COVID and other diseases, helping them, giving them medication, and doing, just being there to be their advocate, because I think that's what we should do for our friends and neighbors. If we see them suffering, we should be there to help them out.
Amen. Amen. That's powerful. So, as a nurse, taking care of the people that are ill, people that need help, how has you being a pathfinder, being an elder in the church, has that prepared you at all to be a good nurse? Is there any correlation between you being a Christian man and being a healthcare worker?
Yes, there's so much correlation between, especially when you go to work and you're trying to help people, and some people may not agree with your approach of what you're doing. They think you're there to hurt them, even though you're helping them, because people may not be agreeing with be taking medication. Like, a lot of people don't like taking medication, but we are there to be the advocate. Even when people treat you harshly, you always remember, as a member of a church, as an elder, you give them the kind word, and that sometimes helps calm people down. Like, when somebody is like at 100, you're able to at least bring them to a 50 because of the kindness. And it has taught me, being an elder in the church has taught me to be patient, that not everybody accepts or learn everything the same way in the same time period. So I've learned to be a very patient man.
Amen. Amen. That's powerful. And I was going to ask you, tell us about your family. Do you have a family here in the United States? I know your dad went back to Kenya. Did you make up a family of your own?
I haven't been quite blessed as much, but I can tell you, my mom passed away, a few years ago. It's gonna be actually 10 years this year. This September, it's gonna be 10 years. So my dad went home. He, right now he's good. He's doing well. But as for me, I haven't had a family yet, but I know in God's time and soon I will be able to have a family of my own.
Amen. Amen. And Brother Sam, you have attended how many men's ministry retreats?
I have attended 3.
3.
I attended the one that was in the first one I attended. You may not remember me unless you have attended all of them. Was 2011. We went to San Antonio. And I think that was the second one ever. And I think 2015, you guys came to New Hampshire. And then 2019, yes, we went to Texas. So those are the 3.
Wonderful.
The one in Houston.
The one in Houston, yes. So I want us to switch gears a little bit. You have been very active in the men's ministry. You are a member of the executive committee of the ministry. What do you see as the biggest challenge that we as men, as Christian men, are facing nowadays?
I think the biggest challenge is, I would say, temptations. We face a lot of temptations, especially when it comes to, especially in this country, it's kind of hard to separate somebody political beliefs and their values. And with those, I think we become kind of like men who, I think we become men who, speak first and then think later. And then, start backtracking what you say to someone and are not even remembering that once you say something, you have said it. There's no coming back from it. So I think we just need to calm down and calm the waters and be able to separate the church and the state.
All right. That's an interesting one. Tell us more about that belief that you have, that so you find there's more of a union between politics and church. It's hard to separate those two.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us more about that.
For instance, I talk to a lot of people and I have had conversations with a lot of people, and a lot of them, especially young people, like the young adults, they felt as if the Seventh-day Adventist Church, last year during the George Floyd, situation, death, they did not speak as much as to the situation and how we can prevent it from happening to our members. And I think some of these things are very fragile. So I think the church also may be afraid to pit their members against each other by making a statement or acknowledging something that has happened. And I think, especially when you ask somebody what they think about a situation, because of the last polarizing administration that we had here in the US, the last president. So when somebody tells you what they think about a situation, most people nowadays, they will think of it in a political sense, that you will be able to know where they lie politically when they tell you something about COVID, when they tell you something about Black Lives Matter, when they tell you about this, you won't be able to differentiate what they think in the political sense and what their values are. Because especially when the church becomes silent on things, even the members, they become disillusioned with what the church is trying, the response the church is trying to give. I don't know whether you're getting me.
No, I definitely hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And we are going to open it up as well to the gentlemen to ask any questions. And I want to switch gears. Brother Sam, you painted a rosy picture that if you're a Christian, if you're a good pathfinder, God is just going to open up doors, right? And I want to find out, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced as a young man coming into this country, growing up in your early years? What would you say was the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge was, for a long time, it was hard, especially when I started working. It was hard to not work on Sabbath, because I think it goes with not knowing how to defend yourself, or not knowing how to let your boss, to let the person who has employed you know that you go to church on Sabbath. I think when I started my job, for a few years I used to work every other weekend, and I used to hate it, because I'm here when I should be at church. And that was a challenge, that I even had to lose a job because I wouldn't work on Sabbath. And once I figured out, once I talked to our pastor, he said that, you know what, you should have come to me before this happened, because I could have written you a letter that would, you know, let them know that you can't work on such and such a day. And I'm like, had I known this before, I would have come to you. But everybody else, I was asking for advice from everybody else, and they were telling me, this is the only job you have. You don't want to lose it. What is going to happen with your apartment? You know, you're going to lose this job if you tell them, because if you can't work on Sabbath, they don't want to have you because you're not fulfilling your 40-hour a week contract that you have with them. And I think that was one of the biggest challenge. And the other biggest challenge is trying to stay away from trouble, especially in the early years when my parents left and went back home. It was when you are young and you see that, you know, even though you have, you know, role models and you have people that you can call for anything, and your friends want to go here, your friends want to go here, you are inclined to do it because you are young and they're telling you you only live once. So you are pulled with the crowd to go do whatever they are doing. And then you come home and then you pray about it and you're like, no, I shouldn't have done that. I think those have been very challenging times. And, you know, nowadays it's easier to stand your ground now that I'm older, not old, but easier to stand your ground now than to stand my ground now than it was when I was younger.
Yeah. One of the things, Brother Sam, that we're trying to do is, you know, EMM also has a lot of young men that are growing up and trying to adapt in this country. What advice would you give to the young people in EMM so that they don't go into kind of a similar situation that you went through?
Always have faith. And when you have a question, please don't be afraid to seek for help. When you have a problem, don't be afraid to seek for help. Even when you're feeling like it's okay. It's okay to have feelings, you know, especially young men, you know, like, you know, they say that, you know, you can't show emotion. You have to just let things pass. But it's good to talk about things because if you don't want to talk to people that you know, there are anonymous numbers that you can call when you're feeling some type of a way. Because, you know, everybody here needs everybody and no man is an island. So find even that one person that you can talk to, that you can, you know, talk to you about your problems, that will be able to listen, that will be able to guide you. Because when you're staying here, especially in this country, a lot of things can go wrong. And this country is not your friend. You know, and you need to, you know, just keep speaking of things and don't keep them to yourself, because sometimes when you keep too many things to yourself, one day they will just explode and you will not be able to handle it. So just take it one day at a time, pray, and also find somebody that you can talk to about any of your problems that you are having, especially being in this country as a young man. Because had I had people that I could talk to, you know, on the daily, somebody that I had chosen to guide me, maybe I wouldn't have gone to some of the things that I went through, because they would have been able to guide me to, you know, to be level-headed.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. You know, in what you just mentioned, when we are growing up, we are taught the African way to hold your feelings, right? You can't show your emotions. It may be regarded as a sign of weakness, but you're saying, no, it's okay to show your emotions and to share your feelings, right? That way people can know exactly what you're feeling and be able to help you.
Yes.
Powerful, powerful. I want to open it up, gentlemen, on the call. If you have any questions for Brother Sam is our EMM representative for the territory of Massachusetts, New Jersey, and all that area. He's been in EMM for quite a long time. He just shared with us his story of how he started as a pathfinder, and now he's an elder in the church over in Massachusetts. So I want to open it up to the gentlemen if you have any questions for Brother Sam. And I have an easy question, Brother Sam, that I wanted to ask you as well. So if the disciples were still alive, all 12 of them, which one would you invite to lunch and why?
If the disciples were alive, all of them, I think I would invite Simon Peter.
Okay.
The reason why is because it really actually still the fact that he knew his problem and he knew he had a problem. And even when Jesus told him that he was gonna deny him, he still, like, when it was the time for the Lord's Supper, he wanted to be washed his whole body. Like, wash my head too, wash, everything, cleanse me. Because he also knew what he was gonna do, even after, even Jesus, he knew that Jesus knew. But I think it's also like, when you are sitting next to someone who knows what their problems are, I think, you can learn something from them. Because some of us, is like, we know our problems, but we don't want to share our problems. There's a lot I would like to talk to with Simon. I would ask you, why did you deny Jesus? What was going through your mind? Even after he told you that you are going to deny him, you still went ahead and did it. What was going through your mind? So that would be a conversation I would like to have with him.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Elder Sam. Gentlemen, I want to open it up if anybody has a question for Brother Sam. Yes, go ahead, Ronnie.
Hey, Brother Sam, how are you?
Oh, hi.
Good. I just want to ask you a question. You are one of the people or gentlemen who contribute a lot on our chat. Do you feel like as a band of men, we have built a relationship in which you can feel comfortable to trust any of the men and converse with any of the men or confide with any of the men, like you are saying you are a young man? Do you think we have built up that kind of relationship where young men can identify older men in the chat and confide to them?
Oh yes, I think I think we have, but I do feel like, I don't know all of you very well, but I do. The men that I know, like, Elder Z, I know you, I know Dr. Meda. The men that I know, I can trust them. I think it's a matter of, like, getting to know them. But as they say, you can't trust somebody that you don't know. So but so far so good, and we are moving in the right direction. And I think last year, I think we lost some ground because we didn't have EMM because of COVID. But I think this year, we'll have even more young men. I can hope, but I think it will happen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm asking you because you are one of the men in our group, one of the young men in our group, and I wanted to have a feeling of the young men. Is there something that we need to do in order for the young men to feel accommodated?
I think, you know, with the pandemic, you know, a lot of things have stopped. But I think if we have more programs, you know, even when we do like a Zoom, let's reach out to the young men. Because sometimes, you know, we have Zooms, but it's only, you know, us. I don't think we had even a general, like, you know, for everybody Zoom? Because I want to see the general the general conference one. I don't see like the EMM as a whole, like, you know, type of a Zoom, other than what we did last year with COVID. But other than that, we should have them on the regular, like, you know, maybe once a quarter. I think to keep at least the young men in touch, and we come up with programs of how to mentor the young men.
Thank you. Last question. Are you excited of the upcoming retreat?
Yes, I am, and I've already gotten 2 people who were not there last time to commit. So I think from Lowell, we will be over 5 people who are coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
Powerful. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Brother Sam, you know, I need to ask you this question. Gilbert is not here. He's one of our young men. And if he was here, he was going to ask, how do I get a woman to marry? If I'm a young man in EMM, I'm struggling to get somebody to marry. What should I do?
Gilbert, me and you have the same question. Me and you, we have the same exact question. I think when I come, these are conversations that we need to have. We need to get pointers from those who are married, because I don't think I'm the right person to tell a person what they need to do to get married. As you can see, I'm also one rib. My other one is missing.
Okay. Thank you. All right, gentlemen, it's the platform is now open. If you have any question for Brother Sam is a young man within our EMM ranks, very excited, very passionate about this ministry, and very active as well. Anybody has a question for Brother Sam? Yes, Doc, go ahead.
Still hadn't. Okay. I'm thinking of the fact that, you know, we have different activities we get involved in, so to keep a balanced life. So the question is, what do you do for recreation when you're away from work? Bearing in mind that when we have our EMM, I think we've seen that there's a nice golf course. I think there might be some soccer. There might be a few other activities.
Oh, you're asking me what I do for recreation?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. I love soccer and tennis. But outside my house, we have a badminton. So I do some badminton and I do some running. So, but mostly I go to a gym. So when I come, I'll be, nobody can play with me when I come there. Yeah, but soccer is good.
Okay, so you are into soccer and tennis, and you also go to the gym as well. So that is your form of relaxation.
Yes.
All right. Now on this platform, Elder Sam, you have also had or seen discussions or conversations around, you know, marriages and struggles in marriages. From your perspective as a young man, what do you see as the biggest challenges?
The biggest challenge to marriage, or?
Yes.
Watching people that I know who have gotten married, I think the biggest challenge is communication. I think a lot of marriages fail because of lack of communication, because they, from what I have heard, is they don't communicate with each other. And when they speak, instead of speaking to each other, they're speaking at each other or about each other. And that is one of the biggest challenges that I think occurs in marriages that make marriages difficult to stay. Because even when love is there, if there's no communication, trust goes, then love goes, then, you're just there, and nobody wants to be in a loveless marriage. And that's why communication is always the key to everything. If you communicate, you will stay longer, you will stay happier, and it's easier to know where somebody is coming from, even when they do something, if they have communicated with you. Because if they do something that you are not sure of and they haven't communicated, you start second guessing them and yourself.
Right. Brother Ronnie is going to have a follow-up question. I also wanted you to clarify. So explain what you mean communicating at each other versus communicating with each other.
Okay. Communicating with each other is when two people, especially married people, if they are gonna do something, if they are gonna talk to each other, they talk to each other with love, knowing that they may not agree 100% with each other, but they understand where the person is coming from. Communicating at each other is when one person in the marriage or both of them, they are using fighting words. What I say fighting words is words that are, pointing words, like you did this, you did that, you did this. I don't like when you. So things like those. So when they are communicating to each other, everything has to come down to a we. If they are gonna discuss something, even if somebody has done something wrong, you can say something like, I think there's a better way we can handle this situation, rather than you don't, you. When you talk to someone like you're talking at them, and then that begins yelling match and fighting. And I think when people, retrospect, think about what they're gonna say before they say it, I think it comes out better, and then they communicate with each other with love.
Powerful, Brother Sam. I think we will need to promote you to the marriage counselor within EMM here, right? Thank you for the advice. Thank you. Brother Ronnie.
Yes, Elder Sam, I think you are in the right direction. If I had a sister or a daughter, I would be inviting you to come, but I think you seem to be in the right path as it pertains to marriage. And thank you for that. My question that I wanted to ask you is that as a young elder and single and young, and you are an elder, what are the challenges that you face within the church?
I face, the challenges that I face is especially not many problems are brought my way, because most problems that actually are brought to an elder, they're usually, to solve a marriage dispute. So our church, we are blessed, but we have 5 elders in our church, and 3 of them are, are young people. So we are blessed to have young people, but I think a lot of people don't want to bring me their problems, because they, especially growing up in an African culture, I think most people still have the mentality that oh, this is my son. He's young. Why should I bring problems to him? So I think that's one of the biggest challenge I face. And as the young elders at the church, we face the challenge that not every member is comfortable bringing their problems to us. So they mostly go to the pastor or, the senior elders. Some of them who are not even serving as elders anymore.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Brother Sam. Yes, go ahead. Oh, that was an applause from Brother Sidwell there. Gentlemen, does anybody have any question? Go ahead, Doc. Doc Maposa, you've got a question for Brother Sam.
Thank you. And Brother Sam, thank you for that presentation. A quick question here is looking at it from the point of those of us who are now, let's say, a little on the older side.
Hey, Brother Doug, speak for yourself.
Yes. I hope you can hear me. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can. Yeah.
Yes. So what I was saying is, so my question is, what advice would you give the older generation in terms of how they interact with the younger generation? So let me give an example to make it a little bit clearer. You've grown up most of your years since 14 in this society. What questions did you grow up wanting to ask? What would you have expected from those above you that would give you an idea of what to expect in life, meaning guiding the older ones in how they relate to the younger ones?
Powerful question.
Oh, that is a very powerful question. And for one thing, I will say that I think the older generation, one thing I wish, they would have taught me, or basically the rules of life. Growing up here and, you go talk to people, and I think our older generation failed the young generation by seeing them still as young. When somebody comes to ask you a question, I think you see their age first before you listen to the question. And I think our older parents, they tend to not give us information because of how young we are. Oh, you're too young. It's not your time. When you get older. But I don't think they realize for them, we will always be young when we go ask the question. So it's not like we're gonna grow and they're gonna remain the same. When we grow, 5 years later, they're 5 years older. So when we go to them, they'll still say, oh, you're still young. Sometimes people, I'm 30 something and I go ask a question to someone and, people who have seen me grow from a young age, even when I ask questions, they'll still say, oh, you're the little young boy. I'm like, no, I'm 30 something now. And I'm asking a question. So I think when we have that mentality that young people are still young, I think there's a reason that they are coming to ask those questions. And some questions can save a young person from making a mistake or a decision that's not for them. So I think, we just need to take young people as they come and not shun them because of their age. Because even when Jesus started preaching, he was 12 years old. He was a young boy. Even when his parents came looking for him, he told them, woman, to his mother, but we don't yet say that to our mothers. Don't you know I'm in the house of the Lord? I'm in my father's house doing my father's business. So we should always think of young people when they come to ask questions as valid questions and not shun them away. Maybe the information they are seeking is too advanced for them, but I think we can always find a way to give them the information in a way that they can understand at the tender age that they are.
Powerful, powerful. Thank you so much. What I heard you say is young people want to be listened to. They want to be heard. Don't look at the edge. Listen to the question and understand the context or the content. Powerful, powerful. Brother Ronnie.
I saw Brother Sidwell with a head up before me. I don't know whether he wanted to ask a question.
I think
I can let the elders go first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't want to, because Brother Sam is just saying the way we treat young people is like, oh, leave them, they're too young. So I didn't want to be going ahead.
Yeah, Sidwell is too young. I know him as a kid, so.
Well,
go ahead, brother.
Brother Sam, my question is, as EMM, we pride ourselves as being an all-inclusive group, which includes people from any other country. And I understand you also come from Kenya. Do you think we are doing enough to attract other people, or what should we do in order to open ourselves and have more people from other nations?
I do believe that we are doing good. We are doing good. You know, we don't wanna change what we are about in order to attract other people. But I think being able to invite, I see a guy here, I don't know whether he's Kenyan, but he looks Kenyan to me, Bob. So if we reach out, the way we are doing is good, like, you know, because when you pull me as a representative of my church, of the people here in Massachusetts, I'm able to bring people over who are from other countries. Like, I can tell you, one of the person who's coming to the next EMM retreat, he's from Rwanda. And then I have another guy from Zambia. So when you put representative of different backgrounds, I think you're already doing the work of reaching out to, you know, people who are from other countries, you know, other tribes, you know, even people that you may not know you're reaching. I think our church now know more about EMM than anybody, because we preach about it every day.
Powerful, powerful. Yeah. Thank you so much. Brother Sidwell, go ahead and take your turn here.
Thank you. Brother Sam, thank you so much for the presentation. I get excited when young people are leading and taking leadership leadership in the community here. A question for you, and this might be an age-old question, one that might not have an easy answer or solution, but having grown up here, one of the challenges of being young is you don't know what you don't know. And following up on the questions you are speaking about on how we can attract younger people, is what one or two things do you wish you knew when you were younger that would have shortened whether in your career, or would have made you avoid some of the mistakes you made as a young person? And second to that is, how can we do better to impart such knowledge to younger people so they don't make the mistakes that we've made, or they get a leg up in life?
Great question.
Yeah, that is a loaded question. But I will say that, especially growing up here, you know, and you get your driving license when you're young. I wish I had known when I was young that, joy rides and, trying to get somewhere quick will have repercussions that will follow you for a long time. I had a few tickets when I was young, and those followed me for like 10 years because I couldn't get any cheap insurance anywhere because of the speeding tickets I got when I was 18, 19. So when you are young, you want to do things your way, but I think seeking guidance, helps a big way. And I think, because I was here alone, I had a car, my parents had left me their car. So I was doing so many things and taking rides and joy rides and trying to see how fast the car can go. But, I even got into a few accidents, which I regret up to this day because, they took a lot of money and years from me to bring my life back on track. And I think things that we do in this world, especially in this country when we are young, sometimes they are, they are fun for a moment, but they could, be very dangerous in the long run. And I think we should always try to seek guidance and find people who are helping us genuinely, not those who are proud or want to see us fail. Find people who genuinely want to help you and guide you into the right direction. I think that's how I would answer that. Hopefully I answered it to the best of my ability.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Sam. Wow. Thank you for sharing your life journey with us, for sharing your upbringing, how the Pathfinder program that you thought you were attending was really a door that was being opened by God into a different arena. And thank you for the work that you're doing in Massachusetts as an elder and a representative for EMM. We're looking forward to seeing you at the end of October at the retreat.
Yes.
Now, you talked about soccer. You better make sure you bring a strong team because there's going to be a soccer challenge over there. So be ready. Okay.
All right.
All right. As we close, I want to ask the gentleman if there's anybody that feels like I have a question that I just have to ask Brother Sam. If you didn't get a chance to ask or that question, this is your chance. If you feel like I have this best, burning question that I have to ask. All right. Brother Sam, again, thank you so much for allowing us to host you over at EMM. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here today, and thank you for this chance and this platform. Keep it going. We need more men to come and join us in October, the end of October, for the retreat.